What I'm gonna go through today is the best cold outbound strategy for 2026 to book you sales meetings and generate more revenue for your business. So what I'm gonna go through is mostly the core pillars today. This is specifically around cold email and LinkedIn outreach, although it is applicable to your other cold outreach channels as well, like cold calling. I guess today is mainly on cold email. So you'll see here, the first point is applicable to cold email, not so much your LinkedIn outreach. But that first one is one of the most important when it comes to actually landing in prospects inbox, which is deliverability. Deliverability has obviously changed quite a bit over the years. The principles still stay the same though. So when it comes to delivering into a prospect's primary inbox, when you're sending cold emails, you also don't want to be sending from your main domain. So what it comes down to when it comes to deliverability is going to be setting up a secondary infrastructure. So setting up different email accounts and domains that are separate to your main domain. So for example, our domain is voriouspartners.com. So when we're sending cold email outreach, you may have gotten one yourself. It typically comes from a domain like tryvoriouspartners.com, tryvorious.com, uservorious.com, and those sorts of things. So we set up secondary domains so that our main domain's reputation is not affected by any of the cold outreach that we do. Some people can report you as spam, and so that can have a bit of an effect. Also, if you aren't abiding by some of the other points in here, that can make you land in the spam folder, which is not great for your main domain's reputation. So a few key points under deliverability: always send in a plain text. So no links, no images, none of that in the first email until you actually get a response from the prospect. Obviously, the other thing would be to remove the spam words. So put it into a tool like Spam Word Checker. You can just Google it and you'll find that there. A lot of the words that you might be using are actually gonna land up in spam. So remove the spam words, plain text only, and then the infrastructure is really the big thing. So there's obviously been a big rise in the resellers when it comes to cold email inboxes and domains. So you wanna stick to a reputable one. So there are a few that we use. I won't mention them today because they do rotate relatively often. So they could be out of date in 6 months' time, could have changed. But basically, you want to choose one that has, reputable, obviously results in case studies and testimonials, right? So basically, these resellers will basically handle a lot of the heavy lifting for you. 3 to 4 years ago, we used to have to do everything manually. So setting up each domain, each email account, and it was a big process. Like it takes hours just to set up so you can send, a few hundred emails a day or 1,000 emails a day. So choose a good reputable provider. If you're unsure about who to choose, definitely message me or send me an email, and I can definitely tell you who we're using right now. That's basically deliverability. So that's applicable to cold email. LinkedIn outreach is definitely different because there's no way you can't really land in spam unless they introduce something when it comes to that. Point number 2 is going to be your offer. So what are you actually selling? Is it something that prospects want? Basically, is it a painkiller or is it a vitamin offer? So obviously a painkiller is something that solves their immediate problem right now. They're gonna pay good money for, and they're actually keen to solve it. They actually have some motivation behind them to get moving now. Vitamin offer is something that's nice to have. Like it might be a type of HR software or employee benefits program. It's nice to have, but it's not really a painkiller. It's not solving an immediate pain. So both are fine, and that's great. There's obviously billion-dollar companies doing both things, but it's how you frame that offer, right? So you don't wanna be framing the offer like it's a potential nice to have. You wanna frame it like this is the cost of inaction of not doing this thing, right? And so obviously you can get nitty gritty with that and take it however you like, but positioning your offer is gonna be probably the biggest lever when it comes to cold email. So obviously what we do is selling revenue growth at the end of the day. And so it's a relatively easy offer to get out there in the market and for people to actually understand. But if you're selling a software product, let's just say, we'll take one of our current clients, for example. I won't name them out specifically here, but they're a manufacturing software company. And so for them, the immediate pain, some people don't really understand when it comes to their software, why people would implement it, why they should implement it. And so for them, we looked at what the outcome was across most of their clients and customers. And what we saw was that typically they save $300,000 in the first year of implementing their software. We took that and we framed it in a way that you're basically gonna miss out on this potential $300K, cost decrease, basically that you're saving from not having the software. And so the software itself becomes this huge ROI and it becomes a no-brainer. So we wanna basically frame your offer around that. Like, what's the cost of inaction of not doing this thing? Now, this is obviously you can get into your sales assets and so on, but the way you want to think about your offer is why would prospects want to book a meeting with you? Why would they want to go to that next step? Like, what is in it for them and why should they be acting on that now? So you want to basically dissect that a little bit and map that out. So I won't get into that in a ton of detail today, but you want to make sure that your offer is actually really good. For example, you don't want to be reaching out to prospects, like your value proposition, so basically ties into your offer, right? Your value proposition is not that you've been in business for 30 years and you've got great customer service or whatever it may be, great support, local support. They're all things that anyone can say. What specifically can you say about your current customers or clients? If you look at that, what specifically can you say? What outcomes have you generated for them? Because all prospects care about is basically solving their pain, getting an outcome, right? It doesn't matter what you're selling, that's all people care about at the end of the day. So looking at that and then going, how can you frame that in a way that prospects see it and go, oh, I want to jump on a meeting, I want to learn more about this thing. That is basically pillar number 2, which is probably one of the most important. Point number 3 is going to be social proof. This is basically to back up your offer or your claim. Social proof is who you've worked with, who you've generated those results with, who you've done it for. Big name clients work really well, big name customers, the outcomes obviously in here. So you want to be leading with outcomes always. You don't want to be vague in terms of the things that you do or provide, right? You want to focus on those outcomes. It may be tangible, it may be sort of intangible, but I guess the core 3 is going to be money generated, money saved, and then time saved. They're the core 3, right? So social proof, we want to be focusing on those outcomes. So when we're doing the cold email outreach, you obviously got your offer and then your social proof. So these are really the 2 core pillars. When it comes to social proof, leading with that case study or social proof. For example, we recently helped TVision to add 350K in annual recurring revenue in 9 months. That is a case study line that we typically lead with quite a bit. And maybe you've received something like that from us, right? We didn't go on about how TVision were generating great leads or anything like that. We focused on the core outcome, which is revenue growth. And it also helped them, lead to a $10 million exit. Whether or not that helped and contributed, I'm sure it did. We basically want to lead with that, right? So whatever it is you're selling, you want to focus on those outcomes, put it into your prospect's inbox, right? So offer and then social proof. Number 4 is going to be lead magnet. So basically this is really the key to get someone to reply to your email, because it's all well and good to have a great offer, great social proof, but if you don't have an easy way or a compelling way for people to take that next step, to reply to your email, to book a meeting, whatever it is, then they may not do it. So you're going to make it super easy for them and an absolute no-brainer to respond. Prospects may not know the next step. You may know the obvious next step is a call with you where you're going to go through X, Y, and Z thing with them and you're going to really help them, right? But prospects don't understand that. They don't know that. So lead magnet is something that's valuable to them that they can get value out of literally right now. When they respond to the email, you reply back with it. For example, it could be a case study breakdown of how you've done similar for your other clients. For us, we've got the case study breakdown on how we help TVision to add 350,000 in annual recurring revenue in 9 months. That is the lead magnet. Can I send you the breakdown? So we send that across to them, they have a look through, they get some value, right? That's basically how you want to think about it. So what is something that you can provide to the prospects that's going to provide them value, enough value and information for them to get something out of it, whether or not they take the next step with you or not. Obviously that's the goal. And typically when I think of lead magnets, it's something that you can solve a very specific problem as well. Obviously you've got the case study breakdowns and Loom videos and that sort of thing, which is great and they perform really well for specific offers. But then sometimes we may have to do something a bit more specific, basically solving a very specific problem. I can basically spin together a bit of a demo of what this could look like for your company based on your publicly available information. Something like that we can run, right? Or an audit of your current, I know audits are quite used, so it has to be very, very specific and very actually outcome driven and valuable. So it can't just be some specific, hey, we'll give you a free audit. Obviously people know that that's marketing, but everyone can say that. What's something specific that you can go in there and immediately provide value to the prospect that basically takes them from not knowing you're a cold stranger to them actually being like, oh shit, they've actually solved a little problem for me. Like they've given me some value. I trust these guys now. So that's how you want to think about it. There's obviously a few different ways that you can go about the lead magnet, but the core of it is basically dissecting what would make you respond to your own outreach and think of it like that. The other frame of mind that works really, really well is thinking about a current customer or a current client of yours that you know really well. They've been with you for a while. You want to write your outbound messaging like you're emailing them or you're LinkedIn messaging them. Think about it like that. And so obviously you follow the core structure of that, but when you're writing the emails, it's not so robotic or it doesn't sound like AI generated stuff. It comes across authentic, conversational. That's really how you want to think about it. And so a lot of these ideas within here will come to you when you're doing that. For us, when we are writing that, that's the frame of mind that we use. AI is great for some of the heavy lifting research, but it's not that great at coming across authentic and really just coming across as a human. Otherwise, everyone would be able to get results from cold outreach, but it's not the case, at least not at the moment. So lead magnet is number 4. Number 5 is going to be your social presence. This is really important when prospects actually go to look you up. This can be your website. So for example, when they look up your name or they look up your website, they'll take your domain name, put that into Google and just do a quick Google search. What comes up is really important here. People need to be able to find you easily. It's really important that you have a website, obviously that is clear with what you do, right? So a lot of what we're talking about here can apply to your website as well. Also clear messaging, making sure it's like really clear what you do. And also a lot of the stuff here needs to be congruent with what's on your website as well. So you don't want to have like mixed messaging or anything like that. You might be saying one thing on your emails here with what you do, what you offer, but then your website could just be completely backwards. So you want to have these as similar as possible. And so having a great website, it doesn't need to be super fancy. It just needs to state what you do, who you help, some social proof, your case studies, testimonials, whatever it is, and a clear next step. So book a call, fill in your details, and we'll send you a free XYZ audit or report or whatever it is, right? You just need to have a clear next step and an easy way to actually book a meeting with you. Another thing here is if you're posting any content across LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever it may be, that's also quite important. So prospects need to be able to see who you are, what you do, any publications that you've got out there, and so on. This is really a bonus thing. You can still get results without having a fantastic social presence, although you still need to appear in searches when they look at your domain, of course. Now, number 6 is very, very important now because of the amount of sophistication in the market and the amount of buyers that are very, I guess, hesitant to cold outbound pitches and that sort of thing, just due to the nature of they've been pitched many times by other businesses, by other people, and they're very skeptical, right? Number 6 is that ongoing nurturing. What happens, first of all, if a prospect replies to your emails or LinkedIn messages and you send them across whatever it is, so in this case, it could be the lead magnet, you send that across to them and you don't hear back. What do? Well, you can obviously send a fair few follow-up messages like, hey name, just checking you got this, or what were your thoughts, which can work for 1 or 2 messages. But what are we actually doing to nurture that prospect? The other thing as well is if they do book a meeting, you turn up to the meeting, you have a good meeting, whatever it is, and then they just, for whatever reason, they sort of fall off a cliff or they ghost you or whatever, they don't want to put in a clear next step. And so you're sort of lost in this, middle ground. What's actually happening there to nurture them, right? Or maybe it's not the best fit right now, but they said, oh, reach out in 9, 12 months. Okay, well, instead of you reaching out then, you can use that time to nurture the prospect, build as much social proof and trust and authority with that person so that when they actually are looking to buy, they're gonna buy instantly from you specifically. Because there's a lot of solutions in the market, but why are they gonna choose you? So nurturing, really important piece. What you've got with nurturing is a lot of different things you can do, but more importantly, you just wanna make sure that the prospect really understands it. It comes back to the core pillar, really understands what you do, how you can help them, and that you can actually help them. So your case studies, case study breakdowns, and you can do this within your cold email follow-ups, or you can just automate this as well within a cold email tool or an external email marketing tool, something like kit.com or ActiveCampaign or something like that, MailChimp. So the ongoing nurturing, you've got obviously videos, you've got plain text, case study breakdowns, frequently asked questions, where you might put together a document of all your frequently asked questions from sales calls, transcripts, whatever it is that prospects are, continuing to ask you, you just want to put it in here. So nurturing is really, really important. You want to spend that time, and obviously you're not spamming them 4 or 5 times a week, but basically you want to still stay top of mind. So when they are ready to buy, they're not going to think of you in 12 months. Like the amount of prospects that actually do is going to be very, very slim, right? And they'll just look at your next competitor that is reaching out to them, right? When they're looking to buy, you want to basically always stay top of mind and become their obvious choice. So that yes, they spoke to you now, but why are they going to choose you in 3 or 6 months when there's a few other competitors trying to get their business? And it's going to be that nurturing point where they've built so much value from you and they just really want to work with you specifically because they know that you can solve whatever problem for them. They're basically the 6 pillars when it comes to cold outbound in 2026. There's obviously a few more specifics within each, but as a whole, that'll get you 90% of the results when it comes to cold outbound in 2026. If you're looking to either do this yourself or you want our help to do that, in the description, you'll find a couple of links. One, to book a call with us where you can see how we can actually do this for you, to book sales meetings on a monthly basis. Or if you want to do it yourself, we also do have a 2-day live workshop. There's another link in the description for that as well. So you can have a look at that, see if it's a good fit. So we've got 2 options. Obviously, we introduced that because 95% of the market, we just can't serve when it comes to our done for you. Obviously, there's a monthly retainer there, and we also do have a rev share arrangement in place. So the more we generate our done for you clients, the more that we in turn get. The done with you is basically you can create this yourself, build it out internally. We'll help you, we'll guide you, and we obviously do it live. It's a 2-day event. And so at the time of recording this, you get access to 6 months of support after. So obviously reviewing the campaigns, providing, any troubleshooting. We basically just want to get you to the point where you can manage it yourself and get the most out of your outbound without having to pay an ongoing retainer. You may be, sub $1 million a year, you may be sub $2 million a year, maybe not at that point, that's fine. But basically it's a program where you can do it yourself, learn it, and we'll obviously help you along that journey. So a couple options there. Hope you got a bit of value out of it, and I'll see you in the next one.